In this video, we're going to look at how to become wealthy using life insurance. And this is going to be a session where Dom and I are going to share our experiences. We've helped many people, hundreds, if not thousands of people, directly or indirectly utilize life insurance to become wealthy and use it as a tool. And we're going to share some of the things to be careful of, some of the things that we wish we would have known when we first got into the space. And you'll have some clear takeaways on how to think about life insurance from a proper paradigm that hopefully will equip you whether you have a policy or whether you're looking to get a policy for your family and for yourself. So with that, Dom, with a clickbaity title like How to Become Wealthy Using Life Insurance, what's your mental framework? I know I have a lot to riff on, but I don't want to steal the show.
You always steal the show, Caleb.
That's not true. That's not true.
It is.
That's why, by the way, we have an And Asset channel for Dom to have his own show. And so you could subscribe down below. We're actually really, really excited about the momentum that the channel's getting.
Yeah. And so from a framework standpoint, I think it's important to talk about like who of the wealthy are using life insurance, right? Yeah. And you start looking at politicians, presidents, which is essentially you could say is the same exact thing.
Yeah.
Would you say it's the same thing?
Yeah, totally.
Definitely. You're looking at high-level business owners. You start looking at past examples
banks.
Of Pampered Chef, Walt Disney, Oprah Winfrey. You know, there's tons of people, right? Banks using on their employees, and they use it as bank-owned life insurance to increase their balance sheet to essentially be able to not even borrow money from the policies, but to borrow money from the government, right? Which is unbelievable that they're able to do those types of things that we're not have access to. But what we can do is try to mimic some of the things that they're doing, right? And a lot of the stuff that they do is they do fractional lending and they lend money out and they understand control. Like control is super important to them. Or if they can only lend out 9% of their entire balance sheet and they can keep the other 90% to do other things with, well, then they have mastered the art of control. That's right. And so we have to now figure out is how can we use control into our benefit?
Yeah. And the big thing that I'll say is how to become wealthy using life insurance. If anyone is pitching you that your ticket to wealth is a product, mutual funds, 401ks, life insurance, index universal life insurance, MPI, I don't care what the name, and the And Asset. If someone's saying this thing will make you wealthy, run. Because we have to define what is wealth. And wealth is so much more than just money. It's so much more than a product. A product will never be your ticket to wealth. And I think a lot of people make a ton of mistakes and they really cheapen their life based on their decisions. And a lot of times they're trying to maybe take the easy route out. And I'm here to tell you that life insurance or any other product out there is not going to quote unquote make you wealthy. Wealth is how we think. Wealth is our values. Wealth is in how we live. And so we really have to have a deeper like value system to say, okay, what is wealth? And then the real question is, wealth is built around maybe what we want to accomplish, our outcomes, our way of life. And the real question is life insurance, or how does the wealthy use life insurance to accomplish that? So I know we were intentionally clickbaity, but that's like the big takeaway that I want to give you is there's so many people that are selling things to you. And if they're trying to sell you your wealth, or if they're trying to sell you like this is the goal is to buy this thing, don't do it. Like you will always regret it in the end. But if you understand it as a tool and you're really, really clear, like I am buying life insurance, I'm buying an overfunded whole life insurance policy because it's a great place to store my capital, protect my family, give me options to reinvest in myself, my business, real estate, give me options for the future. I'm totally cool with that. You can't tell me that life insurance is going to solve your marriage problems or make you a better dad or mom or like make you a better leader. It's not. It's a tool. And a lot of times people over glorify tools, i.e. investments and all of that. So that's my mini rant as it relates to the paradigm to think about life insurance and wealth.
Yeah. And, you know, to kind of be a devil's advocate to that, I think life insurance can help you be more wealthier by showing more powerfully in your family, right? I think if you can go to sleep at night knowing that your family is taken care of, you can not stress as much, right? You can show up more powerfully in being present with your family. If you are having the ability to have potentially something for retirement, at least pushing towards that direction, you can sleep a little bit better at night. Knowing that you're being an individual that's adding value to society, I think is something that can help you just be more confident in who you are. And when I say adding value to society, the whole point of the policy is to essentially store capital, to borrow against, to use for something different in your life, which means for us, right? It's business, right? We really love the idea of business. And so for us, our policy allows us to show up in our business way more powerfully because we know if something happens, worst case scenario, we need to hire an employee or we need to pay somebody for their payroll. We could tap into the life insurance policy to essentially do that. And so we can show up more powerfully in the business and be more wealthy as a whole because we do have life insurance, knowing it is there as a safety net. So I think Caleb is right, is you have to think of it differently as a paradigm. But again, it's not life insurance that does that. It's the way that he thinks and using life insurance as a tool to then help him accomplish to show more powerfully in his life.
Yeah. And I'm debating if I should go down this road. I think I am going to go down this because I think people can benefit from just our discussion. But if you think about, and I'm not saying I have the right paradigm, I will say if a lot of people look at my financial situation, they go, Caleb, you're very conservative for your age. I'm semi-conservative because I would say that putting ourselves out here on YouTube and like running a business, we have many team members, and I think some people would be maybe shocked on how much it costs to run what we do on a day-to-day basis to serve you. So on one side, you could say that's risky, but if you look at actually my cash position, man, you could be making a lot more money if you put your money over here. And I have a significant portion in liquidity, in life insurance, and it's not necessarily being leveraged, which people are like, Caleb, you're the first person to say like, you can borrow at 5 or 6 and make more than 5 or 6, you can be making a rate of return. And that's true mathematically, but I also like understand this by just like meeting a lot of people and just seeing things is like majority of people aren't able to maintain that or build momentum. And one thing that it's been cool over the last couple of years is like, we've actually been able to grow our business, but also build our reserves, which will make us a lot more stable. And that's really very much the philosophy of a strong foundation. And when I think about life insurance, I think of a foundation, not just a foundation for your legacy, but a foundation for your money. And it might take you a couple of years and you might not be impressing anybody, but you should be really proud of yourself if you could look at your financial situation and say, I have a year or two of capital that can allow me to live my life no matter what I'm doing so that I can show up more authentically, so I can do the right thing for our clients. So I can take a risk that some people wouldn't be able to take because I might not be able to get paid tomorrow because I have a reserve over here. And I think a lot of times life insurance, it's the fuzzy ROI that's tied to it that I think I've been able to more appreciate, and I have more respect for people who have true wealth. They have a lot of a strong foundation. And so people might be a flash in the pan, but we've seen a lot of people being a flash in the pan that are no longer in the game because they haven't taken that conservative approach. And so I think the wealthy people also just think more long-term, and life insurance when set up and used properly is an amazing tool for that.
Yeah, I love it. And honestly, you were the one that I have to give credit to in regards to thinking about control and the opportunity cost of deploying control. Right? We were doing a video and you were like, all right, if the control cost is 5%, but I can go earn 7%, you were like, I wouldn't do that.
Yeah.
Right? And I was like, why not? I was like, if you do the math, I just made a 2% spread from what I borrowed to what I made. And what you said was very powerful. If I go deploy that money and go make 7%, well, now I'm tying up my capital to go do something different with it if another opportunity comes, or the prevention of my business falling apart, so on and so forth. And I was like, wow, like that is unbelievable. And then I started to realize like why life insurance companies don't like when people take policy loans at the end of the day, because it is the same concept, right? If I'm a life insurance company, I have to lend out my money at 5.7%, but I can go make 10% somewhere else, then you're losing out on that lost opportunity cost of what it is that we can do. And so that's why when I start to think about how we can use our policy, right, people want to talk about using their policy to buy cars and things like that. I understand that mathematically it could make more sense doing the whole infinite banking concept by buying vehicles versus getting a loan from the dealer. But if we were to take our capital and put it into use it for a car, well, now that's gone and tied up in the whole vehicle process, right? And we can't now deploy that capital to go invest into assets. And the way that I think life insurance to be used is to borrow against to deploy for assets that produce cash flow. And when that cash flow is coming to us, we can then, one, pay back the policy, and two, we can use the cash flow to then buy expenses, right? And that is the way wealthy people think and operate, is always buying assets, increase cash flow, use the cash flow to pay for the assets, live off of interest, right? And so this is when we start talking about, Caleb has an amazing paradigm for like wealth, because it's true. It's more than just money. But when we start thinking about money and how money works, like this is not how velocity of money works, is getting our money to flow. Like Caleb has this amazing example that I'm sure he got from somewhere else, but like,
there's no new thoughts in his head, I promise.
Where, you start thinking of money like water, right? And it's like the Amazon River, it's flowing, it's super, super powerful. But if you get money just like stale and stagnant, and it's like in a muddy pond, like it's just gross and dirty, right? It doesn't expand and it's not powerful. And that's kind of like what banks are doing, is they're like lending here, which then comes back to them and lend here. And that same dollar is doing multiple things. And that's kind of how I think about like using your life insurance policy to build real wealth, because then you get tax advantages as well. You get certain deductions in like real estate, business expenses, appreciation in assets. And by doing so, you also learn more skills along the way. And doing so, you then surround yourself with like-minded people, which then also elevates your skill set and knowledge, which allows you to make more money and allows you to buy more assets and then put it back to the policy and leverage again to deploy other places. And that's really how you build real wealth from a financial standpoint when you start using your policy that way.
And we can actually have microphones that we can drop, which is pretty cool. This is what I'll say. I think both Dom and I are saying the same thing. Think of it as a tool to help you accomplish X, Y, or Z. And I think whenever someone's selling it as the solution, take a step back, really think through that. And in most cases, the big paradigm that you need to have is life insurance is a tool. And if you don't understand how to use it, get educated. We have a ton of videos on this channel. There's the And Asset channel. And then there's so many other of our friends that are doing an incredible job on YouTube or have books that talk about this strategy. And if you're like trying to grasp, like why would use life insurance, I would encourage you to check out our link, the And Asset Vault down below. We have a free handbook for you. We have a video series that walks through the pros and cons. We have a 15-minute masterclass video for you to watch, and a lot of other resources to hopefully help you understand like how it can be a tool in your life. And so regardless of who you are, we're here to serve, and we're so grateful that you've taken time to watch this video to the end.